Jen wanted me to wish you a happy birthday, and she also wanted me to give you some advice about entering into the plural marriage lifestyle. Not an easy task. I was blessed by a lot of children from being in plural marriage, and it is very difficult to advocate it because I came at it from a religious perspective, and I felt like it was required. And it blessed me with certain things, but it took from me other things.
Hey everyone, it's Kody from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Monday, March 13th, 2023. Do you ever remember growing up? Listen, it's been a hot minute since I've been in college or even in my 20s. So I was thinking about girl code. You know how girl code is? Like when you are a girl and you are out with your girls, like out at the club, and you have your eyes set on someone, there's rules, right? So you don't go after someone that your girls like. So you don't date someone that one of your friends likes. You don't date your friend's ex, and you don't date your ex's friends. There's just, some like rules that you follow, right? Now, if you're a sister wife, what happens to the girl code? Because you're all dating the same guy, you're all going for the same guy. And when girl code gets messed up, that's when friendships blow up. So I'm thinking about this because obviously I've been down the rabbit hole. I talked to you guys about this last week where I was like watching this scandal unfold, and it's on the Vanderpump Rules. And I've heard all the stories from people about like, I hate that series. But listen, I needed this scandal. I needed this affair. I needed this mindless, mind-numbing tea because I was like, it's hard to also constantly go at and talk about these horrible cults that sometimes I just want to think about affairs. Or, I mean, it's not even stupid because it's real life. Sometimes I just want to think about mindless gossip or rags or just reality television that's not necessarily about cults. Girl code says that you are supposed to not date your friend's ex. You're not supposed to date a guy that your friend is into. You're not supposed to take home your friend's ex. You're not supposed to, interfere with your friends' relationships. You're supposed to put your friends before your relationships in the single life. Once you get married, I think it's a little bit different because your husband and your family becomes your priority. But when you're out in the single world, your girls are supposed to come before the man. And Scandival, obviously that's not what happened with Rachel Leviss and Tom Sandoval, because Rachel literally hooked up with everybody. She went after Tom Schwartz, who was Katie's ex-husband. She went after some guy, a server that Lala liked. She doesn't seem to have any sort of sense of loyalty to any women in her life and puts her needs and her wants in front of other people. Do any of you have a friend like that? Did you have a friend like that when you used to go out to the club and you would go, or used to just go out and you had that one friend that no matter what, they always went after the guy that you like, or they would flirt with your ex, or they would flirt with your boyfriend? Did you have that friend? Rachel is that friend, and Robyn is that wife, okay? So Robyn Brown is the Rachel Leviss of Sister Wives. I'm convinced. Prove me wrong. Robyn came in and she has weaseled her way into destroying every relationship around her. She has gotten Kody to basically let go of all of the relationships he's in. And now you have Kody on Cameo doing $99 cameos, and he can't even be bothered to say anything positive about his wife, Robyn. Yet, she has spent the better part of her marriage isolating him from everyone else, convincing him that by kissing his butt, by talking badly about the other women in his life, by being the perfect wife and the obedient one, and by constantly pumping up his ego. So she's a fangirl. Robyn is a fangirl of Kody, and Rachel's a fangirl of Tom. And anyone on the show, really. So Rachel and Robyn should just go out and have lunch, and I'm sure they'll find that they have more in common than they realize. Prove me wrong. Okay, let's talk about Kody Brown on Cameo now that we're over on Scandival. I'm still like on the Scandival Island. I'm still totally team Ariana, and I'm still like, I can't believe this stuff is happening. It's ridiculous. And then some of you guys, this is all manufactured for TV, but I'm like, what? These are like legitimately real people. And the last time I checked, Katie and Tom really got divorced, and that's a storyline. So either way, sometimes there are scripted things that happen on reality television, and sometimes things literally just happen on reality television that happens to get caught or missed by production. A lot of things have been left out about Robyn and her family and her relationships, and there's been a lot of things that have been left out of Sister Wives that we didn't know about this group, right? So we had no idea that Christine Brown's grandfather had underage brides. I mean, maybe some of you did, but I didn't. I didn't really look into it that much because they always said, we don't do underage marriages, right? I didn't know about the spirit babies that came down. I mean, I heard them talk about it, but I didn't understand how weird this concept is. I also didn't know that they believed that Adam is God, which is so bizarre to me, and that he impregnated Mary. Yeah. So they believe Adam, who is God, impregnated Mary. Adam from Genesis. Not Adam in the New Testament. Adam from Genesis, right? They believe he's the one that got Mary pregnant, even though they didn't exist in the same time period. I also didn't realize just how common the behavior is with Robyn in comparison to the other wives in polygamy. There's always a favorite wife. There's always a man that puts one wife over the other. And there's always children that are not actually taken care of by the man. It's a system where the men need a number, the women need a number of babies to bring into heaven, to populate more spirit babies on earth and in his heaven. And it all comes down to Kody's narcissism and men's narcissism into believing this system is actually true. Gwendolyn recently revealed on her YouTube channel that Christine Brown does not believe in Joseph Smith. Like, she doesn't believe that he was a prophet. She doesn't believe that he, was this ordained man of God. She doesn't believe she doesn't believe in Mormonism at all. She doesn't believe in the Book of Mormon. She thinks that, as Gwendolyn put it, was a creep. Gwendolyn says Christine doesn't believe this anymore. Kody Brown's cameos suggest that he might be thinking a little bit differently about things because he spoke about how he got into plural marriage because he believed he had to because of his religion. So since we're halfway through this video, before I dive into the cameo, can you do me a big favor and give this video a thumbs up? Also, please subscribe to my channel if you have not yet subscribed by clicking on the subscribe button down there. Make sure to turn your notifications on by clicking on the bell. And if you have a comment, please leave one if you have something to say, and share this video with your friends. Okay, so most of you know and understand that I do not believe in Joseph Smith. I don't believe Joseph Smith was this magical prophet. I don't believe that he is somehow this God-like person that wrote a book that everyone should follow. And the Mormon, or the FLDS, are fundamentalist Mormons, and people get really mad at me. And they say, Katie, make sure that you're clear that the fundamentalists are not Mormons. But I can't say that because it's not true. They still follow the Book of Mormon. They still use all of the doctrines and covenants, and they literally are the same group that was like split. So when the church gave up polygamy in order to get statehood, there was people that didn't want to stop practicing polygamy because it had been a part of their church their whole time. And those people just kept going, and then they converted other people from the church because they're like, but this is the true doctrine, right? We need to do this because this is what Joseph Smith and Brigham Young mandated. They still use the same books. They use the same doctrine and covenants. They have the same endowments. They use the exact same endowments and the same temple endowments in the temple as the LDS, even if they don't go to the LDS temple. They even have their own temples, and they make their own temples. So in their own breath, yes, they are following the Mormon faith. They are fundamentalist Mormons, and I'm sorry if that offends you, but polygamy is a part of their history, and they will argue it's the right part of the history, okay? So anyways, with that being said, Kody Brown grew up in the LDS. There's a lot of confusion because people say that he actually grew up in polygamy. He did not grow up in polygamy. His younger siblings did, but he did not. So Kody's parents were part of the Latter-day Saints, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and they were not a polygamist when Kody was growing up. He was out on a mission, and then his dad and mom got into fundamentalism. This all coincides with around the same time that the Mormon church, the LDS church, started to allow African Americans into the temple. This created a massive divide because a lot of people were like unhappy because they believed that what Brigham Young said was true, and that only people with white skin could be a part of this, and that only the white superior race could do this. Now, I've had a lot of you guys in the comments tell me that I'm making this political and saying that this is being woke, but this is actually the truth of the history of this church. They believed that the white race was a superior race, and the race that was going to sort of be the ones called to save the earth and be there when Jesus came. And they ascribed a lot of horrific, racist diatribes to African Americans and anyone that had more melanin in their skin. And it's sad. And so I'm not being woke when I say that they literally believe that their race is superior. It's in their history, it's in their speeches, it's in their sermons, it's all there. You just have to read it. The fundamentalists didn't let go of that. So when the LDS allowed African Americans into their temple, fundamentalists did not, and they continued to not because they said that they had to go off of what Brigham Young said. And so therefore, that attracted people that were unhappy. So some people converted around this time in the late 1970s, early 80s, around the same period of time that Kody Brown's parents got involved in it. So Kody was already ripe for the pickings because, one, they believe very much of the same, they use the same book, they use the same doctrine and covenants, they use the same teachings, they use the same everything, right? So it's not a hard transition for someone to move from this and say, oh, I need to go all the way in, right? Some people don't, but some people do. And that's how they lured people in during the 70s and 80s. There was other ways too where they would start showing people that polygamy was a part of the church and that it was a right that Joseph had told people they had to do. And if you really go back in time and look at the history, it's there. Something that the church was keeping hidden from new people that were coming in. Kody gets into polygamy and he just says that he had to get into it because of religion. Now in the cameo, he is asked about what advice he would give to someone that's going to go into plural marriage, which I think is hysterical. Like, why would anyone ask him advice after he's had all these ladies leave? But again, wives leaving men in this cult is not uncommon. And this is what Kody had to say.
Jen wanted me to wish you a happy birthday, and she also wanted me to give you some advice about entering into the plural marriage lifestyle. Not an easy task. I was blessed by a lot of children from being in plural marriage. And it is very difficult to advocate it because I came at it from a religious perspective. And I felt like it was required. And it blessed me with certain things, but it took from me other things.
So the minute he's asked about plural marriage, the things that he says, like, one good thing I got out of this is all the kids. Like, it blessed me with a lot of kids, which makes me laugh because he has so many kids that want nothing to do with him. It blessed him as a sperm donor to the eggs of Christine and Janelle to father children that he has nothing to do with. There's one child of Christine's, McKelty, that seems to like Kody, and I'm fairly confident that almost all of Janelle's kids are on the outs with Kody. That's 12 children, 11 children. And I'm pretty confident that Leon has nothing to do with Kody. So that puts only Robyn's kids with Kody. So it blessed him to be a sperm donor of a lot of kids, but he's not a father to a lot of kids. And he was not a father. And he also says it's a very difficult thing to get into. That's because this cult says that only the highest, most, faithful and the ones that are the most willing to endure and go through it and are called to do this will endure it. Like the chosen. They believe they're better than others that don't practice it, okay? Off the bat, he has not said anything like, it's not positive that he got all these wives. It's not positive that he made all these women pregnant or made all these memories with these women. He got a lot of kids that basically hate him, okay? Next, he says.
And the hardest thing that I find about plural marriage is intimacy with an individual. when there's other individuals that don't seem to be comfortable with that intimacy. It's a very difficult lifestyle.
I want to remind you that this is advice for a woman. A woman, not for a man. This is advice for a woman. And he's saying to the woman, one of the big problems for me is it was hard to get intimate. And by intimacy, I want to be clear. I don't think he's talking about just physical intimacy. I think he's talking about emotional intimacy, because it is hard to be emotionally intimate with anyone in polygamy because of all of the different relationships and how spread thin all of them are. So it's not just physical. And then there is jealousy. So he's like, the hardest part for me was that the wives were jealous of other wives when I was giving physical intimacy or emotional intimacy or intimacy at all to another wife, and they couldn't handle it. The hardest part for me is that my wives couldn't handle that I was effing around, screwing other women, and they were mad about it. The hardest part for me is that my wives couldn't handle that I had concubines. Now, some people thought that this was about Robyn, saying that like Christine couldn't handle Robyn, but I don't think it's just about Christine, because Mary expressed very similar issues where it's hard to be around Kody when he's in a good place with other wives. Janelle has said the same thing. Even Robyn has said that. It's a part of polygamy. So again, yes, it gets in the way of forming good relationships because there's constantly someone in your ear going, I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe you gave her this. And he's not giving equally to the wives, which he's supposed to under this doctrine, but it's never followed through on, because why would you give equally to someone you barely like and you only married because of your religion, right? But again, this is not about his wives. It's not advice. It's like literally, I didn't like it because women couldn't handle that I was screwing around.
And so I struggle to be an advocate of it. I advocate people living free and making their choices. Best I can say is be prayerful about it. Don't go running off into something like that without a lot of deep thought.
While it sounds like Kody's like, don't be a polygamist, what I actually heard was, if you can't go into this and not complain to your man for screwing other wives when he should be screwing you, or being intimate with other wives, or having an intimacy, an emotional intimacy with other wives, then you shouldn't go into it. Don't interfere in your man's sexy time, emotional intimacy time with his other wives. Let your man have his cake and eat it too. And then he says, I am all about advocating that people live free, which is really ironic because the only person that's lived free in this entire thing is Kody this entire time. And yet he says, I can't advocate for plural marriage. I advocate for living free, and really pray about it before you get into something like that. So is Kody going to take more wives? I don't think so. Is Kody questioning his faith? Probably. Does he still believe it? I don't know. But he's not taking any accountability for his role of, I acquired a lot of wives because I was egotistical and I wanted a harem and I wanted a number and I wanted to look good for my elders and my peers and I wanted to look the part, and I blew it royally because I'm a jerk. That's what he should have said. But that's just me. And I don't think he's going to be, again, taking any more sister wives. And Robyn didn't get praise in here. In fact, she almost was like not even mentioned. Like, I got an amazing wife that I love and I adore. No, he got kids that hate him. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.